How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Transport Fever 2. Welcome back to Miami. We don't usually start up here, but last time we did start working on a production line for machines up here in Miami, and there have been a few changes since then. The biggest change is that we have finally unlocked a new set of wagons for the trains. These guys can get up to 75 miles per hour, which means that my trains in general, my cargo trains anyway, are considerably faster than they used to be. I've also tweaked the coal and iron supply to the steel mill over here, because as it turns out, we didn't really need the two separate coal mines and two separate iron mines. We can kind of make it work with just the one set of mines. I've added a few more vehicles to each line as well. I've tweaked how they pick things up, and I've made sure to try my best to get this to a point where the rate, at least at one point here, was 600. It's now fallen to 418, which isn't really ideal. I'd kind of like to deal with that just a little bit. But I've been doing some reading into how things like shipment and transport and all of that work. And basically, from what I gather, this guy right here is going to be producing, 400 things per year. That's essentially what's going on. So it's making 400 things. It's getting enough supply to produce 200 slag and 200 steel. The shipment is how much of that gets moved per year. And right now that's 200. And I've been going around thinking, well, why is it 200? We have the capacity to move more steel. We have the capacity to bring in more iron. We can do all of that. And then it hit me pretty hard, actually. I'm an idiot. It's only 200 because we're not moving the slag. That's going nowhere. So this thing can only currently produce 200 steel per year, which, as it turns out, is no longer enough. We have 675 stored planks down here at the machines factory. We barely have enough steel to fill these trains. If I can level this guy up, it might produce more. It might start producing 300 steel per year, which would be fantastic. But to do that, I need to start moving the slag. So that's where I want to get started today. And what I'm going to do is something relatively simple. It's going to be another train line, because train lines at this point are actually so useful. Of course they are, but I want to actually illustrate my point as to why they're so useful. And I think this right here, honestly, is a pretty good point. I've got a whole bunch of trucks. This is my machines to San Francisco line. And as you can see, they're all stuck in traffic. Now, I have made some changes to High Point. I've added some avenues around the city. I've got some ring roads going on here. But these guys, these trucks, they are basically wanting to go from down here in San Francisco up to my fulfillment center. And it's proving to be a little bit of a problem. Now, I'm pretty sure I could fix this a little bit. And I'm thinking I'm going to try to, because that is getting to be a real issue. So I'm going to bring a road down here about as in line with that top one as I possibly can. And I'm going to bring a road straight out of here as well and do a little something like that. I think what we'll do is keep this little extra part just because we can. And then what I can do here potentially is continue a road sort of straight up this way, which again, I'm not necessarily against doing. It now gives us one lane for going straight on, one for left, one for right. And I want to just connect it up to here. So this is going to come straight out. I'm not going to go too far with it, but we'll go something like that. We'll bring this guy up to, say, here, and we will just get a nice little curve between those roads. I want to go ahead and smooth it out because that's kind of important to me. And what I'm hoping I can do here is go ahead and add a couple of waypoints. So if I put a waypoint right here and I put a waypoint right there, I can now go to the machines to San Francisco line. I can manage that line, and I can now say that after the High Point halt, you are going to go to that waypoint, which brings it sort of out and around the town, which is great. It still brings it back onto this road, which is fine. We can deal with that. Central Street in San Francisco, you're going to go to there. And by the looks of it, I'm going to need more waypoints. So I'll put one just up here. I'll put one just down here. And then hopefully what I can do here is change this up. So after High Point waypoint 1, we want it to go to this guy. And after waypoint number 2, we want it to go to this guy. And that now brings it down and around, which is hopefully going to mean that it can, at the very least, avoid the traffic in the middle of the city, which is definitely better than being stuck in all that traffic. And hopefully that means that traffic in general will flow a little bit better because we're not putting 40 trucks on that main road quite as much as we have been. So coming back up to this steel mill, what I want to do is relatively simple. I want to get myself a cargo terminus station. I want high-speed tracks, catenaries, 320 meters, and I want to put it right about here. And that's going to give us access to this steel mill. It's going to give us a lovely big train station that can shoot out this way past Manchester, and it's going to come down towards Miramar. And I'm going to go with that as my pronunciation. I don't know if it's correct, but it's what I'm going for. And then very simply, I want to put myself a good old train station right about here as well. And I'm going to just configure this one as well. I want it to have as long a platform as I can possibly get, because I want to try and minimize the sort of delayed loading times on the trains. So I can go up pretty far that way. And I guess we can go about the same distance on this side as well. So this is going to have a pretty substantial platform, which is great. That's what we're looking for. It's going to help us out. I might try and do the same up by Manchester, but I have my doubts that that's realistically going to work out all that much. There's a lot of hills up there. I should probably also mention, I'm not 100% convinced I'm going to do a giant train for this line, but what I want to do essentially is go ahead and feed this into my fulfillment center down by High Point. So High Point traffic realistically is about to get worse if I'm not careful. But the thing is, High Point itself does want construction materials. San Francisco wants construction materials. We've got Garland wanting construction materials. So what I might do, what might end up happening is that we have this fulfillment center thing going on, and then we maybe don't use trucks to bring everything out. I'm not 100% sure what way I'm going to make it work, but I mean, the good news is Salem's construction material situation is going quite well. I actually replaced a whole bunch of the vehicles on this line, and it's running really nicely. And I'm also going to say, I think we need to get to a point here. I mean, Salem, we're doing quite well, but I think we need to look at trying to provide more of everything to Salem. I want to see how big this town can get. I'm really curious to see what, you know, a city of 5,000 people might look like. And we're getting there. We're almost at 2,000, which is great, but we need way more bricks. We need more tools. We need more of everything. And I don't know that this thing down here, I mean, this down here actually is in a similar story now that I think about it, because what this thing's going to be doing is only producing up to 200 steel per year. The other 200 is going to be slag that could go to construction materials. So we might want to get this going as, no, the thing's gone. The plant that I was going to, oh man, that's disappointing. The good news though, is that we do have a construction materials plant right up here. So we could use this one. We could bring the slag from here to here, feed it into this plant, and then Oklahoma and Salem can get more construction materials from this guy. We might want to look into that, but first, let's see just how far I can go with the platforms out of this station as well. I'm hoping I can get some pretty considerable distance, but I'm not going to hold my breath because, like I said, there are some mountains, and that's not what I wanted to do. That looks to be about as far as I can go, though. And honestly, it's better than nothing. Any kind of extended platform at the very least is going to reduce the loading times. And like I said, not 100% convinced I'm going to go with giant trains here. And so I guess with the large platforms in here, we can go ahead and start looking at getting ourselves some tracks. So the simplest way to do this, I think, is going to be to push straight out of this station. I really don't want to do bridges, so we'll do some elevated sections, and I totally forgot to turn on parallel tracks. So we'll bring this out to here. And then what we can hopefully do, I'd like to avoid tunnels right here. It's not really something I'm looking forward to. So I'm wondering if I can start right about here, go across this road. Maybe a little something like, I think something like this should do the job. We can, let's see, go from here as well. Is that going to let me do it? It absolutely is. Kind of surprised it didn't go for tunnels there. That's a fair bit of mountain that it could have gone through, but whatever. We'll turn our parallel tracks back on, and then hopefully I can make this turn. I absolutely can. It's not going to be the fastest. It is going to have a tunnel. Can I get rid of that tunnel? I don't think I can by the looks of it. Oh, I can. I think I'm gonna get rid of the tunnel. I just don't think we need it. Yeah, we're cutting away at a bunch of the terrain, but we can smooth that out, make it look better. And then this part is probably where we're going to end up with some tunnels. We got to, you know, go through a mountain here. but that's totally fine. This is kind of also where I'm hoping for some fairly high speed sections. So if I do this for a second, what does that look like? I mean, it does look ridiculous. It's also a relatively slow bridge. Can I change that? 112. I mean, 112 is faster than most of my trains can go right now. Do I want to just do a bridge that cuts right through the middle of this mountain range though? I reasonably probably don't have a choice, because at the end of the day, I mean, it's the only way I'm going to keep this thing level. So you know what? I'm here for it. We're going to go for it. It's totally fine. We can turn off parallel tracks. We'll go from here and we can run this right through as well. And hopefully it's not going to look terrible. I mean, it doesn't look amazing, but it is a bit of high speed track, and that is kind of what we need. Now we need to cut over this way. I think we'll go past, well, actually, do we want to go past, or do we want to sort of cut down that way? I think we'll go past the town. So we'll just continue in a straight line for now. Again, hopefully avoiding some bridges, and annoyingly, I don't think we're gonna. Can I just do another bridge into a mountain? Is that a thing that the game's gonna be happy with me doing here? What does that look like? It looks, I mean, it looks ridiculous. It does. It looks absolutely ridiculous, but it's definitely unique. Definitely unique. I also don't want it to slow down too much. That looks terrible. Can I get that to be on land? Yeah. So that's fine. That looks all right. I don't love that this is looking like that. I would like it to be, you know, a little bit faster, but again, that's going to have to do. So now I'm faced with a bit of a question, and that's whether or not I should just bring this train line straight through this farm and over this section of the canyon, and then connect it to the line down here that runs straight into High Points. Or should I have it turn, go past McAllen, and then connect to the bridge over here? And I'm inclined to say it should connect to the bridge, because otherwise, I mean, building a new bridge for this thing would be kind of expensive. I don't know. We could also just bulldoze a big chunk of McAllen to go straight through it. Or we could just run the train straight through anyway. That might be what I do. I mean, I haven't done anything with this town yet, so I'm going to spend a lot of money here just bulldozing the middle of this town, because I kind of want to run a train line straight through the center. It's not going to be stopping in McAllen, but it's going to be a train line that just cuts right through there. We're going to get rid of roads that we don't need. I'm probably going to tear back quite a few of these roads actually, just to make this work. This is the point of the game where I've got more money than I know what to do with. And this is probably a little bit silly, but it's just what I'm going to do. And that's relatively open right there. So that's kind of where I want to go, straight towards the bridge. So we'll go ahead and we're going to go basically like this. So straight through the middle of this town. We'll turn off our parallel tracks so I can get the second bit of track right here. And we'll let this rebuild. I'm not really too worried about, you know, McAllen rebuilding. I'm sure it will. I mean, looking at it, we have a farm, we have an alcohol distillery. If we can find somewhere to turn that alcohol into food, we can start providing McAllen with food, and it happens to want it. So that might not be a bad idea. That might be something we want to look into, but just not right now. As for the rest of this, let's bring a little section of track out here. Let's bring a little section of track right out here. And can I curve around and connect to the McAllen part? It's a little slower in some of these curves than I would like, but I'm kind of willing to just let that be a thing. So it's going to go straight through, and it's going to come straight over here as well. And I just need to curve over to the right. Well, do I need to curve over to the right? I think I probably do need to curve over to the right a little bit. So we'll go like this, something like this anyway, and that'll be all right. I'm going to take out these two signals because I'm going to have to redo the entire section of signaling here. And then all I want to do is basically turn off my parallel tracks. We'll start with this line, and it just needs to run and connect right about, honestly, anywhere really. I'm going to go for right about here, I think. So it kind of connects right at the bridge, and that's a pretty solid spot. We'll go right back to here as well. And that is a much sharper turn than I thought the game was going to let me do. I wasn't really paying attention to just how sharp that was. Let's bring this back a little bit. and see if we can get something that's a little bit more gentle. And you know what? That actually doesn't look too bad. So let's go ahead and figure out what the signals are going to look like on this entire thing. We're going to need, well, actually, we don't need auto signaling for now. And I think what we'll do is just have a signal here and a signal here so that the trains aren't going to be stopping on the bridge. And I think realistically, I'm just going to do a signal here as well. So anything going this way is going to stop basically before it gets to the bridge. I don't want anything stopping on the bridge itself. That just doesn't seem right to me. As for the rest of it, we'll do an auto signal right about there, which brings us the entire way through McAllen. And we'll do a bit of signaling here as well. That brings us the entire way back, which is absolutely perfect. So that's going to be a bunch of signals to get people through that way. And for this side, we'll do something similar. We'll do a signal right about here. And that brings us the entire way back towards Manchester, which is great. We'll go ahead and put one over here as well. Again, brings us the entire way back. I'm going to get rid of this one because the trains are going to have to sort of cross over the tracks. So I think what we'll do, given that I might play around with some giant trains, there's a definite chance. There's no guarantees, but there's a definite chance. So they're going to come in on this side, which means they're going to need to go out to that side. So we'll go ahead and do this. We'll not do parallel tracks. And that should be fine. So the train can come in, it can go out, it'll be fine. Signals wise, it'll stop back there. This signal should be fine. I don't think we'll need to get rid of that. So that's all right. That's everything sorted out right up until it gets to, the game does not like me zooming out all that much. Right up until it gets to High Point. Because what we need is for the train to, it'll be coming in on the right side here. It needs to go to the leftmost platform. So let me redo some signaling here as well. We'll take this guy out, which is completely fine. We'll come back a little bit. So it comes in on the right. It needs to go to the left. And then any train coming off of that other platform that has come in on the right needs to be able to get back to the left side here. So we'll do this. And then what we can do is set up a signal, no automatic signaling here. And that should be fine. And then a signal here as well should be fine. So that should mean that this line is still doing what I want it to do, which is great. So now let's go ahead and set up this line to bring slag to bricks to High Points, and we'll kind of go from there. Now, what is slightly annoying about all of this is that slag has to be carried in a gondola and the bricks have to go in a flat car. So we're going to have to just sort of deal with that. We also, I think, have some pretty, do we have any new multiple unit things? Not really. That's completely fine. We're going to be using an electric train for this. We'll use the class GG1. And I think color-wise, I went for bright red on the line itself. So we'll go for this guy. And it is a 1-to-2 ratio on slag to bricks. So we need to bring in basically 100 slag will create 200 bricks. So cargo-wise, if we do gondolas, which I think I'm going to go for a darker red in the gondolas, it might look interesting. We want a capacity of, let's say, 180, and then we would want a capacity of, what's that, 360? So, oh God, how many of these? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Oh boy. All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that should work. It is a very long train, but that should work. Hopefully. We'll buy one, and we're going to put it on the train cargo, Manchester Slag Brick High Point. And it is coming out of Miami, by the way. So it's going to go to High Point first, and then it'll be fine. And honestly, not a bad looking train. I think the bright red locomotive with the darker red on the wagons is going to be a good choice. Let me have a very quick look over here. We do have slag getting dumped out that way, which does mean that shipment has come up here quite nicely and is going to increase to the point that this might level up. And that is exactly the whole point of doing what I've done here, because it should mean that, oh my God, it should mean that we end up with more steel coming out of this thing at some points, which is great news. As for over here, this guy has leveled up as much as it possibly can. That's okay. I can deal with that. Also, you know what? This train is, whilst it is long, it is not as long as I thought it was going to be, which I'm also kind of okay with. I don't know if it's going to fit in High Point. We might need to move some things around a little bit, but that should be fine. We can do that. It's a good looking train. What's the rate on this as well? And thinking about it, I could do 2 of these if I wanted to. The rate's only 188, which, I mean, we're going to be producing about 200 planks anyway, so, or 200 of these guys, 200 bricks. So yeah, 188 is actually kind of a sweet spot right now. And with this guy leveling up, those are some numbers I was not expecting. So we can now produce 400 steel, 400 slag. That is huge. That is actually huge. So we would need how much coming in? Oh man, we would need a lot. We would need a lot. Yeah, that's gonna be good. So this is hopefully gonna mean more steel production. We might actually need more coal. So these guys are doing great, I think. What's the rate here? 407. Interesting. Okay, that's a little bit unexpected. I was kind of expecting more out of this. Either way, we might need more coal coming in here because this thing does not have enough in the slightest. So might want to look into that. Might want to figure things out. But for the time being, I'm going to sort of leave that be because I want to just pause and I want to see where that new train has gotten to because I need to make sure that it can fit in and out of High Point Station. And it absolutely can. I am very, very excited about this. I've realized though that I haven't got an end destination just yet. So what's my high point platform here? I was considering doing this in such a way that I wasn't going to use the same, what do you call it? Truck depot thing station, but I think for now we will. So looking at this guy and going to buildings and going to truck unload stops, where do we need the bricks? And wait, do we only have like a handful of buildings that need them? We only need 22 bricks in High Points. That's a little bit unexpected, but okay. We'll do, I mean, we could just share this one stop down here, I guess. So let's set up a new line and it's going to go from here. It's going to go down to here and it can head back and that'll be all right. So that is going to be road cargo. It is going to be High Point and it's going to be brick delivery. We're going to copy and paste that name elsewhere as well, but we'll get this to be not that color, but I think that color. No, not that color either. Which color did I use for this? I've completely forgotten already. I don't think it was that one. Was it this one? It was that one. Okay. So that's fine. That's going to be our bricks delivery. It is going to be using which platform here? Can I use platform 1? Platform 2? I can rearrange this actually if I really wanted to. Terminals 1 and 2, that's fine. Brick delivery is okay. That's not the button I wanted. So brick delivery, manage line. I'm going to say that it can probably use platform 1 as well. And that should be all right. And it needed what, 22? So we can just get ourselves a truck very, very easily from say here. We'll go and buy a vehicle. We can get ourselves a truck with side stakes. It can carry 16. We'll buy one of those. We'll paint it the right color and it's going to go off to High Point brick delivery. I might want to just make sure that line's set up properly in terms of the picking up and dropping off though. So here you are going to be loading up on bricks and then the other one is automatic drop off. So that'll be fine. And it's going to 45 with just the one truck. That's actually pretty solid. When it comes to San Francisco, they want 53 bricks and they're already having traffic problems. And when it comes to Garland, they want 14 and are they having traffic problems? Not really. So that's nice. And so now we have all of these lines set up. What I would like to do, just because I think it might be a pretty solid idea, is I'd like to just look into changing how some of these lines operate because we do have them cutting down through the city again. So if I manage this line, we want to say that after High Point halt, which is this guy, you need to be going to that waypoint. At least I think that's what you need to be doing. I'm pretty sure. Doesn't really seem like it wants to behave, but that's all right. So that waypoint and then that waypoint, and that brings it straight down. Looking at it from here, after Ash Street, I need you to go here, and I need you to go up to here. And I think that's fine. I'm not 100% sure if it is. It looks like it's kind of cutting across in a weird way, but honestly, better than the alternative. So that's all right. When it comes to the Garland lines, I kind of want them to do the same. So if I manage this line and we say that after Green Street, so that's down in Garland, you are going to go to here and you are going to go to there. That'll sort of bring it up and around. And then after the High Point Exchange, you come down to this way, which again, it's cutting across that one road, but that's fine, and down to there. So that's all right. Again, they're sort of cutting across some of these inner roads, but I'm not super worried about it. And then I guess we can do the same with the Garland Machines delivery as well. So after High Point Exchange, you are going to go to this waypoint and down to this one as well. After Hill Street, to here and to there. So again, it just takes the traffic off of these main roads, which I'm kind of okay with. I don't know how well that's going to go, but we'll figure it out. We have some trucks going down that way. Still a massive amount of traffic coming down into San Francisco, which, I mean, I've just realized I haven't upgraded the main road through San Francisco yet. I probably should get on that, right? And I'm thinking extra large street just the entire way through. Gonna be a little bit expensive to do this, but I kind of want to say it's going to be worth it. I'm going to have to get rid of some roads here as well. That's going to suck. Oh, and there we go. We've actually got this train already heading out with a bunch of slag on board, which is fantastic news. This guy is not producing as much as I thought it would, which is a little bit surprising. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little surprised at that, but you know what? Fair enough. How are these guys doing? So you're at 583. Okay, and you are at 599. So they're nearly maxed out on the amount of coal and iron that they can move per year. So we are getting to the point where we could start considering, and I mean, if production hits 600, in fact, let me tell you exactly what we're going to do. I don't need to pin this. If we go to these guys and I go to you and we'll pin this, we'll manage the vehicles. Let me put 2 more vehicles in this line. It's going to push it over 600, but that's fine. 662, you know what? We'll get rid of one of them. We didn't need to push it that far. That line's now going to be maxed out, which is good. So we should be bringing in 600 coal per year. When it comes to this line right here, it's 598. Manage vehicles, give me 1 more. And that's going to be 622. That's fine. So again, 600 iron per year. This should end up getting maxed out in terms of what it can produce, because it should now be getting 600 of each, which should then turn into 300 steel and 300 slag in theory, assuming we can move all of that, which would be ideal. But that now puts us in a spot where these other lines can be reactivated, because we can start bringing in more, right? If we bring in 600 coal from here and 600 iron from here, if we bring 200 from the other places, that puts us in a pretty good spot. So let me just go ahead and not pin you, but I want to pin you, and I want to pin you as well. So we have these 2 lines. That is the secondary iron and coal lines. What I can do with those is come down to this guy, buy some vehicles, and we can go ahead and say, give me these dump trucks. Give me 5 of them for now. We'll paint them. I think it was this pink right here. I don't really care if it was or wasn't. And that's going to be going on the Miami coal to steel number 2 line. And that gives us 47. So basically, if I go to manage vehicles and I duplicate and I go and I duplicate again, that's going to give us close to 200. Doesn't need to be exact, but close to 200, which means that thing should hopefully pump out about 200 coal every year, which means we just need to do the same thing with iron and we should be good. So back to the road depot. We'll go ahead and buy ourselves, I don't know, I think we'll start with 20 and see how we go from there. So 5.8 million for those. We'll paint them a lovely bright pink color. And they go on the Miami iron to steel number 2, which is this guy. That gives us a rate of 181, 188. That is perfect. So in theory, what we're doing here is creating a system where these guys are going to make up the amount of iron and coal that these other mines can't produce per year. These guys are capped at 600. These guys are going to be producing 200. That should result in 400 steel, 400 slag, and hopefully some amazing amounts of money. That's the goal. Now, looking at you, you are loading up on bricks, which is absolutely fantastic news. This guy has a whole bunch of slag in there already. So that's good. I doubt this thing's going to level up anytime soon, but that is good. And that's going to be a delivery heading down to High Point to be distributed to the other cities. I'm very excited about that. Very, very excited about that. And there's what I'm looking for. Production is climbing even further. which is absolutely fantastic. If we cut that number in half, it would be 312-ish right now. Looking at this line, the rate is 308. So this line is now not going to be enough to move out that steel, but that's okay. I'm not actually too worried about that. We can absolutely make it work. And I'm hoping to get to a point where we're just producing enough steel to make these machines constantly so these trains don't have to back up the way they are right now. But that'll be a thing for later on. Having a look at this guy, let's see. It is moving. It is nicely on its way to high point. It's got 112 bricks on board. So not a full, it's actually not even half full with brick. Hold on a minute. How did that happen? How was that come about? Oh, there's a bunch of bricks on the platform. Is this doing all right? Yeah. I just don't think it waits long enough, which is fair enough. I'm not super concerned about that. It is by no means the end of the world. I'm also not necessarily sure that I expect this train to make huge profits. I don't know if this is going to be a train that is all for profit right now, but we'll see how that works out. At the very least, I'm excited to see the bricks get distributed here so that we can start moving them around to, there we go. Getting them dumped in there. They can start moving around all the towns. The train has flipped around and is heading out. That's great. That is absolutely perfect. This is not what I'm looking for right now. Hold on a minute. This right here, manage line, high point exchange. You are not going to be doing this. You are only going to be loading up on machines there, and then you can unload whatever there. And then for the other one, brick delivery has a bunch of machines on board. I somehow don't think so. Let me manage that line and say exactly the same thing. Brick delivery is only going to be dealing with bricks. There we go. So they can figure that mess out. That is a them problem. That is not a me problem. So here's what I'm thinking. There's two things I want to do before we wrap things up today, and it's two relatively quick things. I'm thinking that the shipment right now can be up to 800 from this steel mill. That implies 400 slag, 400 steel getting shipped out to wherever it's going. If we look at this, it's 198. If I pin this, I manage the vehicles. If I duplicate the vehicles, that gives us about 397, which means that the shipment here should increase, which is good. So that's going to be more bricks more of the time. I'm willing to give that a shot and see how that plays out. I'm hoping for good things is very much what I'm hoping for. Whether or not it ends up working the way I want it to, we will find out, but it is hopefully going to lead to good things. 240 slag sitting around is great news as well. This entire thing up here is working exactly how I wanted it to, though. And we have some machines sitting around. This guy's full with 29 machines sitting there. We have a good amount of stuff coming in here as well. This thing is completely maxed out, which is great news. So across the board, hoping that this will continue and hoping that we're going to see good things. I'm hoping that the extra train is going to be good for us as well. And I'm hoping that this guy over here, 92 bricks sitting around, hopefully that thing can increase its production as well. That was one of the two things I want to do before we wrap things up. Thing number two is that I want to come all the way back down. I'm doing this slowly so the game doesn't freak out. I want to come back down to Salem because I've noticed that we have some houses popping up here, and this is kind of a problem because I want to extend my train line. I do. I mentioned it before, and I've also noticed a potential for a new ring road here. So let me just very quickly do this because I'm very much in favor of little ring roads around my cities. I can't get that to line up perfectly. So let me just put a cut in the road here and let me see if I can just make this look decent. So little something like that, a little something like that. And that connects up to that. That's so good. That's so good. I love it. I love seeing this development. Unfortunately, I am going to just have to bulldoze some of it because I need a new train line is what I need. That's my goal here, is to get a new train line that comes straight through this way. Parallel tracks can be on. It's not necessarily going to work, but we're going to do it anyway. And we are going to come straight out of here. And then what I want to do is, for one, fix this road because that's a little bit hideous looking. There we go. Yeah, that'll be better. So basically, I want this to go up to Oklahoma City. I've mentioned this before, but I do want to do this. I want to go up to Oklahoma City. We'll get ourselves a passenger station, 320 meters. That's fine. And it can live basically right about here. is, I think, a solid spot for it. So we'll go for here. And then I want to do one up in Montgomery as well, because Montgomery's been growing quite nicely and I think it probably deserves it. So we'll do, you know what? We'll go ahead and take out this road, take out these buildings, and we'll put the station on this side. And we can potentially expand this as well eventually. So we'll have it be right about here. We'll have the lines come in. That can go straight up to Augusta, Bridgeport, wherever at some point. But for now, just very quickly, let's get this all connected together. Now, unfortunately, we are going to be dealing with some slightly slower sections of track going around good old Salem here, but that's just how it's going to have to be. And so now with the tracks and the stations in here, we want to come down, and I'm debating whether or not I want to continue this one line, so Salem to Kansas City, or if I want to do Salem to Montgomery as a separate line. And I'm kind of thinking, I think we might all be thinking it, might not be a bad idea to do it as a separate line. So these trains are going to come in on the right here. We are going to need a new little bit of track just here to make sure that everything behaves the way I would want it to. So right about there, we'll do a signal. Right about there, we'll do a signal. And that should all be fine. So we'll go ahead. We'll create a new line. It's going to be from about here, going all the way up to Oklahoma City, going up into Montgomery, coming back down. I'm going to have to change this around a little bit. So let's see, Oklahoma City, I want you to use platform 2 on the way up there. That's absolutely right. And then down in Salem, we are using the platform that I want. That's kind of perfect. So passenger train, it is going to be Salem / we'll just do Mont, because I'm not going to try and spell Montgomery. And it is using that yellow right there, I think. Perfect. That's not bad. That's going to be more public transport connections for Salem. That's going to keep those people very happy, which is exactly what we want. And I guess we can look at getting some new trains for this as well. And I suppose we'll use the San Francisco train depot. So let's have a look and see what we've got. We have got some multi-unit things here. We've got the Zephyr still. We have this guy. We've got this as well, though. This can go up to 112 miles per hour. It can carry the same amount of people as the old heavyweight parlor wagon, but it is a little bit more modern looking. So I think this is what we'll go for, assuming we can get it in a good color. So let's have a look. What can we do? We can get it in bright yellow. That's going to be something, is what it's going to be. And then for the locomotives, we could use this. We could use this. We could keep using the electric ones. I'm kind of inclined to keep using the electric ones, to be quite honest with you. So let's give this a shot. This is a little bit more modern. It's, yeah, we'll give it a shot. And we'll go for, I don't think we're going to need a crazy capacity. I think we'll just do 114, which is the same as the current trains on the other line. We'll do maybe 2 of them for the time being, and they can be Salem to Montgomery. So we'll let those head out. Hopefully they're going to look good. I'm actually kind of curious. That is a very bright yellow, but you know what? I'm kind of here for it. I'm kind of here for that. It's not the worst looking thing in the world. And you know, while we're at it, let's go ahead and just get a little bit of public transport going around Oklahoma City. We'll just do a very rough kind of loop around here. Nothing too crazy, nothing too fancy, as per usual. Just something kind of around the edges there. And for Montgomery, we'll do kind of a similar story. We'll go for here. We'll come down to, do I want to go straight through? I think we do probably want to go straight through the middle here. And we'll kind of loop around this way. And this will give us some pretty decent coverage. Should let more or less everybody get picked up. So we'll go ahead and create those lines. So from here, going down this way, up to here, across to there. We'll go ahead and rename that to road passengers. Yeah. Road passengers. That'll be fine. Yeah, road passengers. And it is the Montgomery loop is what we're going to go for there. Well, also, what color is Montgomery usually? It's that kind of aqua tealy kind of color. So I think it's this one. It's actually not that one. It is this one. Is that the same one? It's this color. I'm looking for, is it this color? Are those the same color? Oh, it's auto saving. That's why I'm being an idiot. Okay, we're all right. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. So we'll get that going in just a second. And then for good old Oklahoma City, we need to create the line as well. So we'll do exactly the same thing. Let people kind of move around a little bit. And I don't know. Let's do road passengers. I'm not going to try and spell this either. We'll just do, well, Oklahoma loop. There we go. That's not how you spell. There we go. Oklahoma loop. That's going to be, I don't think we have anything for Oklahoma. So we'll do this color right in the middle. That's super, super deep blue is what we'll go for. And then in terms of vehicles, I can send vehicles between these. So yeah, we'll just get the vehicles from Salem and send them out. And already we've got 31 people waiting in Montgomery to head to wherever they're going to. We've got the trains coming through as well, which is absolutely fantastic. There's no one on board, which doesn't surprise me in the slightest. That's completely fine. Also a lot of tools waiting down here. That's interesting. 200 is the rate on these guys. Delivery is 202, but I would imagine they're getting stuck in traffic, so that's probably why it's a little bit delayed. That's fair enough. Okay, so just before we wrap things up for today, I want to point out that this machines line is doing wonders for us. We have a train on the way right now that's going to be full. We have train 19 currently loading up in machines as well, which is great news. Looking at the bricks one, things are not quite as good. We have this guy, which is coming in with 201 bricks on board, which is admittedly pretty solid. And we have this guy currently loading up on bricks as well. So again, solid enough. I'm not entirely convinced, as I've said before, that this line is going to make all that much money. I don't know if I mind that this line's not going to make all that much money, because the idea is to just supply goods to the cities and they might sort of make up the money that this guy doesn't make in the first place. I don't really know. Not really 100% sure what way this is going to go. We do have a lot of bricks waiting to go down to San Francisco. And I think I said right at the start of today's episode that what's most likely going to need to happen here is that we are probably going to want to look into moving. Why are you still waiting there? There we go. We're going to want to look into moving some of this stuff by train. I think that's sort of the reality of what's going on here, because there is so much traffic. I have upgraded some of the roads and it makes it slightly better pushing the trucks sort of out and around the edges of high points, but there's also just a bunch of traffic in the middle of San Francisco, and there's a bunch of traffic that is going up and down to, well, no, you know what? It's not going to Garland. There's just a lot of traffic between these three cities because there's a lot of people in these three cities, and that's kind of to be expected. Now, what I think I'd like to do is in the next episode, and I'm saying this loosely because I'm not going to sit down to record the next episode directly after this one. I'm going to just go and have some lunch and play some other things like Software Inc. Because just to give you an idea of how far ahead I am with things right now in terms of this series anyway, because I've been completely hooked in Transport Fever 2. I haven't actually recorded the first episode of Software Inc. yet, which, based on my rough calculations, should have went out about a week and a half ago as of the time of this episode going out. So yeah, things are a little bit all over the place. But yeah, I want to look into focusing a little bit on Salem to try and bring as many bricks in here as we can, as many tools and machines. I want to see if we can really encourage this place to grow just ridiculously, really. That's sort of the plan. And there's a couple of ways we can look into doing that. We could carve out a massive chunk of the middle of this industrial space, which I think this entire area is. Yeah. We could carve out a chunk of the industrial yard and maybe put a train that goes straight into the middle of Salem so that half of the stuff just gets consumed out of the rail yard. But we'll see what we do. Either way, that is going to do us for today. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. It has been an absolute pleasure as always. And as always, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.